What is this? An unscheduled episode of Midnight Madness Radio? Oh, yes, it is. And the cat is in the background. Look at her. There she is. I'm dying for a second there. All right. Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome to Midnight Madness Radio. This is a weird episode. I am your host, Madness. This is the Midnight Madness Radio, or the Madness Radio, and this is an unexpected episode. Oh yes, it's a very different, unexpected episode. So this is not a scary story. This is a story that is going on currently, essentially, basically. So I had to make an episode, basically, to vent my feelings because I am dying inside internally right now. I don't know if you can tell. I'm pretty sure you can tell, but I'm dying inside a little bit. So today was like, okay, I'm going out. I was like, I've got my numbers. I get these numbers, and I get this number. I get a special number, and I was like, okay, I've been getting the number, I might as well get out of my house and do stuff. So I have been getting out of my house lately. I've been doing okay, although I don't go out too much. I actually covered the catio, which is our cat patio, but we call it a catio. So I covered the catio with more netting and stuff, and I zip-tied the crap out of it, so it's cat-proof now, so the cats can go outside so they don't drive me crazy all the time. But obviously I'm still crazy. So basically it was a good day. Today it was a very good day. So, of course, I'm sitting in the drive-thru waiting for the Taco Bell. The line was a lot longer today in the Taco Bell, and I was like, well, I want to get the Taco Bell. So, of course, I'm like, okay, I'm waiting in the line of the Taco Bell. I checked the Instagram, and then I went on, my email. Yes, I checked my emails. And you want to know what? Of course, there's an email about Jeffrey Combs, because I don't follow him on Twitter, but I have, checked out a couple of his Twitter posts, and of course I was like, well, he's not on Instagram as far as I know, so I found him on Twitter, so I was like, I want to check him out. I am a big fan of Jeffrey Combs, if you have not noticed. I love his work. I'm crazy about the Reanimator, blah, 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 blah. If you follow my Instagram, you know I absolutely love Herbert West and his work as that. And I love his voice acting work, and his voice acting for Ratchet from Transformers Prime. I have all 3 seasons because I love that show, and of course he was Ratchet's voice, and I was like, yes, it's Jeffrey Combs. So, initially, I found him, I grew up, 90s kid, I watched Superman and Batman and the Justice League, and he did some voice acting there for the Question, and then he also did some voice acting for Scarecrow, and in the Batman the Animated Series, but like the second reboot thingy of it. So I had heard his voice many times when I was younger, and and then I saw him in several horror movies and stuff like that. So I saw him all the time. I never made the connection. Oh, this voice belongs to this face. When I was younger, I barely knew anything about the internet, and my goggles are fogging up again. Yes. So, the madness. So, of course, I never made that connection. And then eventually I did when I got older. And, I would forget and then I would remember again. And then one day when I was old enough, I remembered and it stayed in my memory permanently. So, of course, I'm a big fan of Jeffrey Combs. And yes, so I see this email. And guess what? It's frickin' Jeffrey Combs. He's going to be at this online convention thing. So I was like, oh. At first I thought it was an actual convention, but I was like, it's the COVID. You know what it is. Don't get demonetized. So it's the thing going on, and yes, there are plagues. So I was like, oh, I would love to meet him, but it's a virtual con. I found out. So I was like, oh, okay, let me look into this. And at first, I only saw the autograph thing. So I was like, I don't know if I want to pay for an autograph right now. I was like, so I have like a little bucket list, and my bucket list is basically to meet certain like actors, like horror actors or sci-fi actors that I really admire, and voice actors as well. My bucket list is very small for this. It's mostly Robert Englund, Jeffrey Combs, and like a few other people. So, of course, Jeffrey Combs is on the top of that list. And I was like, oh, okay, autographs. Maybe I'll think about it. I'll mull it over. I'll think about this and whatever. So I went back on later today to check it out again because I was like, oh, I want to look into this more. And then I saw something about a live stream question and answer question, answer, blah, 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 blah. So there was this thing. It was like, oh, this free stream. It's next Saturday. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's free. That's good. And then guess what? I scroll and I'm like, what does this mean? It says one-on-one. I'm like, what does one-on-one mean? Does it mean what I think it means? So I look at it. And it says one-on-one, and you can have a one-on-one, like 2 minutes chat, and you can pay to up to like 10 minutes to chat with these people. On my bucket list, I always imagined going to a convention and meeting Jeffrey Combs in person. And ideally on my bucket list, it's like, go to a convention, meet Jeffrey Combs in person. Pay for his autograph to help support him because you want to help support these actors, especially during the plague. They need your support. Always try to support as many people as you can because obviously you're not getting as much work, especially during the plague when you have to be at home all the time. So I was like, what? Online, one-on-one, 2 minute? But see, my mind, I'm like, well, that doesn't feel very personal. But at the same time, he's on my bucket list. Of course I want to talk to him. But I immediately started freaking out, having a panic attack. I'm still having, it's like a mild ongoing panic attack. It's not like a full on, but it's like, in my gut, I feel anxiety. I feel it in my throat, so it's like mild panic attack. The cats are in the background, running around. So, major anxiety going on for me right now. So, of course, I'm like, I really want to meet him and have a conversation with him because they're like, oh, la 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 la, have your questions ready. He is on my bucket list. He's not on my bucket list like, oh, I want to ask him questions. It's like, and everybody asks questions. Like, I don't want to do that. If I were going to, tick this off on my bucket list, I want to have a conversation with him. Just a simple, like, a conversation and see where it goes, and just talk and have a personal conversation with somebody as a human being, not as, oh, I'm going to ask you questions because you're an actor and la la la, and put you on a pedestal because they're just people. I always try to make that a point. I usually do not like actors and stuff like that. Most actors I'm not a fan of because they are put on this pedestal and then they think that they are more than they are, and they're like, I am above a human being. It's like, no, you're still a person. So of course the bucket list is like, I want to have a conversation one-on-one because it's personal and it's a part of my bucket list, and it would mean a lot to me to get to talk to somebody who was a very important influence for me for my entire life of horror and voice acting, and I've he's a beautiful person too. I was always very infatuated. So that might be a contributing factor too. Is he's a very attractive gentleman, and also I love what he has done. And Herbert West, obviously, is probably my favorite horror villain, just because he's awesome and intelligent and beautiful. And yes, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start mumbling because I'm getting nervous. See, the anxiety. So of course I'm like, I would love to talk to him. I've been talking about that for a while. He's been on my bucket list. I'm like, oh, if I saw him at a convention, yeah, I want to have a conversation and la 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 la. And of course, I talk big talk, but as soon as I see this stupid thing on Twitter, I'm like, ah! I start freaking out, and the anxiety, my anxiety, the social anxiety at this point is so bad. I barely leave my house, unfortunately. This is why I'm doing the YouTube. So it's like, I work from home because it is my safe space. And then it's like, oh, the one person that I greatly want to meet, and they are very, like, I admire them and they're an inspiration to me, and you could have a conversation. I would throw down the money, of course. Money does not matter to me. I personally would have liked to meet him at a convention. And of course, I'm going to pay, like, for his autograph or whatever, just because it's important to help, fund these people, because this is part of their livelihood. Especially, when you don't get as much work and you need all the finances you can get. Fame can only bring you so far. So, of course, I would be like, money doesn't matter because I want to help support somebody who is important to me and has definitely affected a lot of the things I enjoy and helped in, he's done a lot of like horror stuff, and even the movies that are kind of dumb that he has been in, he's always brought his A game. And I would like to, just have a conversation and, see how conversations go. I like organic, I want it to flow. I don't want to, oh, I'm gonna Q&A you and be like everybody else. No, I want to, have a good conversation with somebody and, talk to them as a real person and treat them like a real person and not like this actor. And now I'm super fucky. I don't want to treat him like an actor. I want to treat him like a professional that I admire, who helps me and inspire me to want to do, stuff like this, like my YouTube and voice acting even. So there's a few people who have inspired me to want to do stuff like this. I don't know if it'll ever go anywhere, but I figure you have to put yourself out there, and it only takes one. I have always been told that. It only takes one door. You have to open the right door, and you will find your thing. You will find success. I believe that fully. I believe God will, let open that, like, keep that door open, and you will walk through it, and there you go. So, I do my thing. Even if the thing is sometimes a random video. It works out because, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do for Midnight Madness. And I kind of wanted to segment into, talks about things I like horror. I am a lover of horror, everything horror. I I have my movie shelf. It consists of like sci-fi and fantasy and horror. Pretty much sci-fi, fantasy, horror. Those are the categories. I don't really like much else. I do dabble in a romantic comedy every once in a while. Do not judge me, but every once in a while I will divulge. But I usually don't like watching romantic comedies because they remind me of my loneliness and spur on crippling depression. So, and this is a different episode, and I hope it's gonna segue into more episodes like this where I can just talk and be mad and have fun and talk about shit I like. So, like, yes, horror, and, maybe talk about my conventions more and stuff like that, and my plans for the future. I want to do more cosplays. I have a video that's coming up soon, which is going to be SCP-682. And I am making that costume, and I'm going to be bringing it to I can't speak. Bring it to another convention. So, I am going to be recording the entire costume making process, and I figured, it would be a good way to show off what I do. I love monsters, monster creatures, monster movies. There are not enough monster movies. I even have my own monster movies I came up with that I would love to work on one day and actually finish writing out the screenplay. I have the basic beginning and I have parts of it done. I have like parts of it, but not the whole thing. So, I love making monsters and practical effects, so I like making monster costumes and stuff. So the next one is 682 STP. It's a monster. It's a creature. I'm like, of course I want to make another creature. So it's going to be a future costume, and I have a Big Daddy planned, but that one, it's technically going to cost more than the 682 because I want to make it the best I can and put the most effort into all of my costumes that I make for each convention because these are my showpieces to help build my portfolio. I am, get the professional photos done and stuff like that. I have a friend, he is a photographer, and he will take the pictures for me, so I'm like, I want to put the best and the most effort into every costume I make. Their showpieces, their portfolio, additions, and I want to put my all into them because I love making creatures and monsters and stuff like that. And, I'm going to be making them out of clay too, and more creatures and monsters. I think I will be doing that more often. I'm working on another SCP right now, but I'm going to be making more creatures and monsters out of clay and more costumes in the future that are monsters and creatures because that is one of the things I really love about horror is the monsters. So they're very important to me. They have a special place in my heart, and I would love to divulge on it in another episode. I probably will do that. I will have more episodes in the future that I will talk about. I can talk about my childhood and one of the first horror movies I saw that traumatized me, but also really got me into horror and got me into a lot of things. So that will be on the next episode of the Midnight Madness Radio. And I went off on a tangent. But basically, of course, I want to speak to Jeffrey Combs and have a conversation with him, but I am a scaredy cat. I am a chicken. I have social anxiety. Of course, my dumb butt. I tweeted him. I saw that a few people had commented, and he actually replied. I can't speak again. He replied to one person, probably about, replied to someone yesterday. So I was like, I might as well tweet him and see what happens. I just wanted to tweet him and say, basically, I'd love to talk. I was like, I love to talk to you, but I'm really nervous. So if he doesn't tweet me back, I think of course, I'll be disappointed a little bit, but at the same time, I won't have as much social anxiety if he does tweet me back. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm probably gonna, have a panic attack. Can you tell already? Even just talking about it. I wouldn't even know what to do. My mind, I don't know if I could handle it. And the cats! Cats, stop it. The cats. The cats are they're good distraction because my mind is spiraling out of control. Yeah, so of course I'm like, someone's like, you should just talk to him and do the thing, and and get the sticking talking thing, even if I guess 2 minutes would be not the end of the world, because I would if I were to initially talk to him, because I would like to talk to him and have a good conversation, like hopefully a lengthy conversation, but like initially, if I were to meet him, I would probably be rambling like this and be panicked, and 2 minutes, I don't like, would I be able to even do that? I don't know. So I'm not quite sure. I'm kind of at that point where I'm just like, I don't know. My mind is boggled. It's very. So, could I hold up a conversation for 2 minutes, or would I be super flipping awkward? I don't know. It's hard to tell. That's why I was like, I'll just tweet him and see what happens, see if he even responds. Maybe that'll be a good determining factor. It'll be a good decision maker. So, okay, I'm gonna make you this promise. If he tweets me and he says, oh, yeah, feel free to, join the thing, and if you want to have you want to do the thing and enjoy the 2 minute thingy and have a short conversation to just try it out, and he'd be like, if he was like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it, it's fine, I'm harmless. But if he replied, if he does, I promise you I will go through with it and have a conversation with him. If he doesn't reply, that is a great reason for me to cop out and run away, cuz that's what I do. I always run away. I run away. Always. Anytime anybody's tried to start up a conversation with me, or when people try to flirt with me, oh no, I run. I can't even tell you how many times people have tried to give me a compliment or tried to start a flirtation conversation, and I'm like, goodbye, and I just run away, and I feel bad, and I don't know if I'm missing out on opportunities, but I'm like, I'm so afraid. I run away. So yeah, why I've so many times, it's not even funny. So I don't even know how I'd be able to have a conversation because I'm obviously I am great at running when I am scared. So I guess if he doesn't respond, then I'm safe. But if he does respond, then I guess I'll be back to tell a story about my conversation with Jeffrey Combs. Oh gosh. And if I were to meet him in person, I I would want to basically throw up. I think I'd be so freaked out. So it would be a good segue into starting, like, being able to meet him in person. But I, I don't know. I don't know. It's scary. It's very. You want to talk about spooky, scary stories? Let's talk about meeting somebody you admire in person. Oh no! No, 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 no. So, I think I'll stop now because this video is over 25 minutes long now. I'm trying to keep it under 30 minutes, but it's a new episode of Midnight Madness. It's something a little different, and I'm hoping it's going to be segueing into the new little series of Midnight Madness Radio where we just talk about things that we like. A lot of horror stuff. I would love to talk about horror stuff. I still have to do Morning Madness. That's a new thing. You will see. I have to convene with someone about Morning Madness. It's another person. But, there this other person, he is going to be reading fan fiction. Oh yes, you probably have never had that before on YouTube. Maybe it is. No, it's probably on YouTube, but it's gonna be a little different. So this person will be narrating fan fiction, people's stories, like fan fictions, they're just experts of their stories, stuff like that. So it'll be more of a fictional opposite to me, to the Midnight Madness Radio. So that will be coming eventually. I am still trying to get that in order. We need to collect more stories. So yes, for now, you get to deal with me and my crazy madness. So, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching the Midnight Madness Radio. I am your host, Madness. I will speak to you soon. You all have a blessed day. Goodbye.